Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, I am absolutely delighted to be conducting this press conference for Fighters Rep 22 for a couple of ladies that are going to be fighting for our first ever featherweight title in the Lion's Den. Please allow me to introduce to the left of the screen, Nancy Tran, to the right, Connie Gonzalez. Ladies, how are you doing this evening?
Good,
Doing
thank you.
fantastic.
All right, I love to hear it. Nancy, I'll start with you. You're out there in Virginia.
I
You got the
am.
call to jump on this card from a very familiar person to yourself. Hung
For sure.
Niveau, you decided, hey, I'm jumping on this. Kind of, walk me through the process and what your mindset was, knowing you're going to have a homecoming and be fighting for a title back here in Los Angeles soon.
It was actually, I was kind of surprised, but I mean, I know he's been asking me to be on one of his cards, like he's like come on, he's like you got to come back home and like, represent and whatnot. So, and then I was like fine, I'll do it because I was preparing for a fight for December, and that didn't happen. So I basically been back-to-back fight camp since October. Um, but so he's like, well, you're ready, your weight's good, so just might as well hop on. I was like, all right, just give me more time to prepare. And when he said like, I'm gonna offer as a title fight, I'm like, let's do it. I mean, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Well, I mean, are you a native of Long Beach? I mean, Hung from way back. Kind of let me know a little
Yes,
bit about that.
when we go back from like way back, like we're like little teenagers running the streets, being bad, and so we grew up around the same like same neighborhood and whatnot. But yeah, we've known each other for so long, and
Yeah, yeah.
anytime he's ever able to get to my fights, I fought in California probably about 5 years ago, and he was there, definitely was had my back there too, and so it's been a long time coming, and he definitely he didn't have to take much to convince me to go out there. So
Right, right. Well, very cool. And on the other side, we've got Connie Gonzalez. Connie, you've been building a name for yourself on the California SoCal scene.
Mhm.
You're out there with, Lamont McCurry at Vital Force,
Yeah.
and we're very excited to have you too. How did you feel when you got called on for this inaugural 125-pound title fight?
Well, I felt very excited. It's my first ever title fight, but I feel good. I feel ready.
For sure, for sure. And kind of tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, are you from out there around, I guess, Corona, where Vital Force is? I think they got something else going on the Inland Empire. Are you from LA? What part of the country are you going to be representing?
I'm from Riverside, but I train out in Vital Force, which is in Corona.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Nancy, I'll get back to you. You've got a good amount of experience. You've been doing this for a while. You know what I
quite a
mean?
while.
I feel like you're kind of on the cusp of turning pro here at some point. You know,
Who knows?
so what does it mean to you to maybe get this title fight? Potentially, do we see you turn into pro after this? What's next for you if you after
I
this
I
fight?
honest I honestly don't know. I'm just gonna let it ride and play out itself and see where it goes. I coach as well, so I know after this fight I plan to kind of dedicate like a few of my time to a couple of my students are that wants to fight, and for their first fight, they're female, they're young, and I'm taking so much time for myself for this fight and for all the other fights I've done before, and now I wouldn't be like a long extended time, but it's
Yeah.
just enough for them to get ready for a fight too. But still I train with my students a lot, so like they get I get a workout, they get a workout, I practice things that I want to practice, so it kind of plays hand in hand a little bit. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe fight for another title. Who
Right.
I have no idea.
Well, Connie, you're a bit earlier in your career, but I want to say you've got a lot of experience as well. You've got at least 3 amateur fights. You've got a few of
Mhm.
these PKBs under your belt as well. I'm assuming you're going to kind of stay in the amateur ranks and continue to build your career for a few years. But what's the thought process with you as well? I'd love to know.
Well, I just want to keep fighting for a good while, and then let's see what takes me from there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I want to kind of get into the meat and potatoes now. So, so Nancy, first and foremost, obviously you got the call to step up and fight for this title here against Connie.
Mm.
I mean, have you done your research on her? What do you know about Connie leading up to this fight?
Actually, I go in every single fight just fighting. Just I'm just gonna go all out and fight. She could be. I know that she recently changed gyms or whatnot, and her style from before could be totally different from now. So you can work on things, and so I take it as I gonna go in there and just do my best and put on a show for everybody, and it's I'm just gonna fight my fight. So.
And for those who haven't watched Nancy Tran fight, what can they expect to see come Saturday from the Commerce Casino? What can they expect to see from you as a fighter?
As me as a fighter, I am gonna be aggressive, but I'm not gonna throw my let my aggression throw down my defense. But I'm gonna be a very technical fighter. Um, you know, try to be as smooth as possible. But yeah, I feel like I'm an evolved fighter from my last fight, from the fight before that. Like everybody should evolve, right? But
Right.
I feel that I'm very confident in everything I've been doing for the past few months, and I just been putting in that work, so I'm just ready for it, and just expect a good show.
For sure, for sure. And Connie, let me ask you too, have you been watching tape on Nancy? Are you the type that studies your opponent, or are you kind of the same way? You just go in there and let it flow?
I just go in there and let it flow. I know she has more experience than me, so I have to, try to get more work in. But yeah.
Well, and I'm going to ask you the same. What can we expect from Connie Gonzalez at the Commerce Casino? I mean, what are we going to see when you go out there and step into the lions, or should I call it the lionesses den with the two ladies in there?
Just to fight, I'm gonna try my best in there, like how she is. We both are. I'm gonna try to put on a show for you guys too.
Hmm.
Yes.
Mhm.
And now, what would you say is your best quality as a fighter? I mean, something we could look out for.
Um,
That's a
I'm not
hard question.
sure, but yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try to put on a good show for you guys.
I appreciate it. I'm going to ask you the same thing, Nancy. I know you mentioned you're going to be aggressive, you're going to be technical. What's something that you would say is your biggest strength as a fighter, your quality as a fighter?
The quality as a fighter. Since this is it's basically kickboxing rules. I had to really take away from the stuff that I'm just used to flowing into. So I in the beginning it was kind of handicapped. I felt kind of handicapped, but it got better over the time of my training, my camp. But I feel that I that my quality is gonna be pretty technical.
Yeah.
Technical.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting you bring up, kind of being handicapped. That's what Muay Thai fighters will say sometimes when they step in
100%. Yeah.
into kickboxing, right? But it's also, the pace. Typically, the pace is a lot more frenetic. I would say it's a
Hmm.
bit faster. Is that something you've also had to prepare for?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's just flowing into everything. It's kind of uh just it's I feel like when you just if you just train boxing, you separate the two together, the two elements, and then now just putting those two together and having it flow. That it was difficult. It just felt just out of my element, but it's definitely something that I've been working on this whole camp. So I feel that um, it's just gonna be fun. It's gonna be
For
so much fun.
sure. For sure, for sure. Now, Connie, I'm going to ask you the kind of the same thing. You're at Vital Force, MMA, and Muay Thai. There's no mention of kickboxing in the name. So how's it been, kind of adjusting to the kickboxing rule set? Is this something you're excited about? Is this something you're weary about? Kind of let me know.
I'm excited about it. We've been practicing a lot on the kickboxing, not so much on the Muay Thai. But I feel pretty good. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like kind of the way Nancy does that you're kind of taking away a few weapons, but you've got to add something else there to the recipe, or what's
Yeah, a
going
little
on?
bit. Yeah, but yeah, I feel pretty good though. I feel confident in my kickboxing.
Very cool, very cool. So before I continue, guys, be sure you can get your tickets to Fighters Rep 22 at FightersRep.com. It's the only way to watch it. And if you can't come out and you can't join us, you could also catch it on our YouTube channel by joining the channel. It's just $9.99 a month. You could do so at FightersRep.com or just by joining. Also, be sure to subscribe and follow Nancy and Connie on Instagram. You got Nancy at No Mercy underscore, is it No Mercy underscore Nancy?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And Connie, yours is Connie G, I want to say underscore 951. Is that
Yeah.
yours?
Mhm.
Hey, my memory's still there. So give them
Nice.
a follow on Instagram. You know, you want to show these fighters some love. You want to reach out to them and sponsor them. You could reach out to me as well, and I could facilitate. You could sponsor the show and anything, as usual, anything you guys drop in the super chat or the super thanks for either fighter, we'll split the profit for them because, we want them to succeed as well. So it's fight week, ladies. I mean,
It
it's
is.
going,
Mhm.
it's going down. It's going down on Saturday. Connie, I'll start with you. How are you feeling? How do you feel on fight week? Do you get a little nervous? Are you excited? Kind of tell me what's going on through your mind.
I'm excited. I don't really get nervous till like they tell me, "Oh, it's your turn to, fight." Then I'll start getting a little, jitters, but I feel pretty good.
Very nice. And Nancy,
Mhm.
how about you? And you've also got to make that flight.
I do have to make the flight, so I did try to gauge my water cut, and having to use the restroom, and I'm like, oh man, this flight's gonna be terrible. Whoever's sitting next to me, I'm sorry in advance because I'm gonna be getting up a lot, and I take the right window seat all the time, so I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I technically, I mean, the beginning of fight week, I'm good. Like I feel like I was like, y'all, the hard part is over. The training, the rounds and rounds and rounds and miles and miles and miles of running, and it's just it's I'm just like, all right, let me relax and get my things ready, pack my bags, and just, and then when I get there, relax some more. But it's been an easy been an easy weight cut for me, so it's probably the easiest one I've ever done.
Oh,
um
wow.
and so I'm not worried about it, but yeah, it's just I don't get nervous. I think I've done this quite a few times. If anything, it's just walking out, and hopefully I don't trip. But yeah, it's it, who knows? It might be different because it's a title fight. It's the first title fight for Fighters Rep, and that's a lot of pressure. We are both making a little history in what this promotion's about. So that right there is nerve wracking. I mean, like, oh man, we are the first female title fight for this fight card. So that's pretty wild. So
It is pretty wild, and I'm pretty excited about it. Not just you guys are not just the first female title fight. This is gonna be a co-main event. I mean, you guys are co-main
oh
eventing this
wow,
thing. I don't know if you
nice.
guys know that we just released
I
the
didn't know that.
yeah, we just released the bout order today, so I'm putting a little bit, I'm sprinkling a little bit more pressure on the both
Yay.
of you. Co-main
Uh,
event of the evening.
wow,
So
that's pretty wild.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And we've got a lot of people in here making comments and asking questions. Isaac Free Smoke Bakari says, "What fight number is this?" And Hung responded 13 right before the main event. So these ladies will be co-main eventing Fighters Rep 22, and they are our inaugural featherweight female title fight. We're absolutely excited about it. And any questions or comments you guys have for these two warriors, feel free to drop them in the chat. We got Joshua Shibata in here saying all that window seat comment popped up. Travel safely, Nancy. Um,
Thank you.
so I mean, there is sort of an element, right, Connie, of you defended home territory, even though Nancy is kind of from Long Beach as well, but she
Mhm.
is flying in all the way from Virginia. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people in the hometown for you too. I think the both of you are going to have a lot of fans
Yeah.
for you. How do you kind of feel about having an opponent fly in and kind of co-main eventing and being our inaugural title?
Um, well, I'm just gonna treat it as like just like if she's like from here. I'm not really gonna think too much of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I'm excited. Hear all the crowd for me and her. So that's the thing I'm really excited about.
And Nancy, I do hear you have a lot of supporters in Southern California. I hear you got a
I
lot.
do. I do. I mean, not only that I've lived there, most of my adolescence and growing up. Um, I moved to Virginia like quite some time ago, but then I had also moved back. I moved to Vegas and lived there for 6 years, and trained out of there as well. So yeah, I do. I'm a ticket seller. I try to sell tickets. I do try to promote myself, because it's not only about myself, but just seeing how women could flourish and do great and make a positive impact into the community of this fight world. Because like it's I and that's why when anybody asks me like especially females like that they want to fight, I'm like I'm down, let's go. You know what I mean? So it's just trying to leave a legacy and trying to leave something behind,
Yeah.
to impact other people with it. So
You know what? It's interesting you say that because I was recently on a podcast ahead of our Florida event. I'm not sure if
hmm
you ladies were able to catch our Florida event. We just had an event here in Florida. It's not even been 2 weeks yet. It was our inaugural
understand.
South Florida show, and
hmm
right before it, I got on a podcast called the Cuban Dudes Podcast. Shout out to them. And and the co-host asked me, "Who fights harder? Is it the women or the men?" You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
kind of, I kind
that's
of
a good
wanted
question.
to, and I wanted to be diplomatic, and I wanted to be fair and I wanted to be honest. And I said, there are some guys that fight hard, but
Mm,
I said, but truthfully, if you ask me, I said I feel like the women fight harder. I don't know what it is. It could be myriad reasons. I don't know what it is. I kind of want to ask you two the same thing, from what and we ended up having a fight of the night in your weight division, by the way. So you guys might be fighting these girls
oh,
from
nice.
from, from Miami at some point, between Alexis Miranda and Barbara Granadillo. But it ended up being fight of the night. I mean, it was the most incredible fight we had of the evening. And so I want to ask you two, Connie. I'll start with you, Connie. Do the women fight harder than the men? I mean, is that what's happening in this sport right now? Kind of tell me what you think.
I think so. I feel like a lot of women get a lot of doubt. That's why we try harder. We try to show our what we're really made of.
Mm.
But yeah, I feel like some of us do fight harder than the men.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting because Asa Tenpow's wife, who's our commentator, Tavia Tenpow, she kind of told me the same thing. She felt like you go into the gym and these
hmm
guys are trying to fight you, and you got to earn your respect and, you want to show that you belong. And so she kind of told me something similar. Nancy, I'll ask you the same thing. Are the women fighting harder than the men in combat sports?
I think so. I think so. Like what Connie said, I feel like, females in general have a lot to prove, and going to a pretty male dominated sport, like it's just, like we just have to hold our own and be like, we don't let up, and we just have to fight through the battle. I mean, we give birth, I mean, we if without us, there's no one else, what I mean? But
Right.
so all our lives is just gonna be a constant battle, and I think that we kind of reflect that in the gym and in the ring and whatnot. So yeah. I think women do fight pretty hard. I mean, most of my teammates, my female teammates, I'm like sparring with them is like going through a battle. So
Sure.
yeah, they're pretty tough.
Yeah, sometimes, and I could be completely wrong, but sometimes I feel like even though the motherly instinct can be nurturing, there's
hmm
nothing more vicious, even in any part of the animal world. You think about it, is if you mess with one of the
hmm
female children or
hmm
something like that. I mean, you really see viciousness there. So I always kind of attribute it to that. Women can be very, very protective and aggressive
For
when they have
sure.
to be. And I think that's why I believe that the women typically fight a little bit harder than the men. And the other thing I wanted to say, I mean, this is something I wanted to throw in there because I know you guys are both going through it probably right now with your diet and training and everything else. Barbara Granadillo, who just like I told you guys fought on the 17th. Her stepfather had died the same week, and she
Oh
still went
wow.
through with the fight. She still went through with the fight,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
her
I'm pretty
opponent.
sure that's what he wanted her to do. So
Mm-hmm.
That's what she
yeah.
said. I mean, it was crazy. And her opponent, Alexis Miranda, had just given birth 10 months earlier,
Oh wow.
Oh
and
wow.
and looked like an Olympic athlete. And I look at that and I contrast it with guys that are pulling out the morning of weigh-in over some goofy excuse. And I just say
Hmm.
to myself, like, if you only knew what it takes to be a fighter. We've got a question from Joshua Shibata. This one's for Connie. He says, any thoughts of intimidation fighting a fighter with more experience like Nancy?
No, no intimidation. I just, how we were talking about. I know she has more experience. I've been working really hard, so I feel really, really confident.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's totally understandable. And, uh, there is kind of a crossroads fight, Nancy. I mean, she's the younger fighter. People might
Hmm.
think she's the fresher fighter, maybe.
Hmm.
Sometimes less experience can be a good thing. Is that something that runs through your mind when you fight a young, hungry up and comer like Connie?
Everybody's gonna be younger than me. I'm old. I'm old. You know, it's funny because one of my good friends, he's you know, Quentin Jackson. He told me because I told him before, like I was like, yeah, I'm getting old. Like I don't know how much I can fight left. He's like, well, because he did remind me that I started later on my when I was 28 years old, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so he says you didn't start as a teenager or or a child, and he says that you haven't gone through all that damage to your body yet. So he's like fight until the wheels fall off, and I'm like, you know
Right.
what? That's what I'm gonna do. Fight
Mm-hmm.
until the wheels fall off, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel that every fight camp I gain more knowledge. I know more about my body. I am more aware. I get all the best coaches, like I'm a nutrition coach, strength conditioning coach, and my crew, and all my other coaches. So it's just I feel that every time I get into another camp and I go through another training, I'm gaining more knowledge. I don't feel slowed down. So age is nothing but a number.
Yeah, no. I agree. And, I think with the way things are advancing as far as medicine and health and
Oh,
nutrition,
for sure.
everything else,
Hmm.
somebody who didn't take a lot of damage in their younger years can definitely fight on for quite a while. We got another question here from Joshua. Says, as a coach, Nancy, which is more nerve wracking, preparing for your own fight or cornering one of your young students?
I actually cornering a student.
Yeah.
100%. I was able to corner this one of my student Casey this past November for his first Muay Thai debut fight. He's done Taekwondo, point system. It wasn't like an actual ring, and yeah, that right there was a process, and nerve wracking because I'm teaching him everything that I am able to and have him display it for me, and making sure that he's not hurt, like but yeah, it's pretty nerve wracking. I think it's more nerve wracking than it is fighting itself. But it's so much fun and rewarding to see that, and to see the growth in somebody, and like they and just see the smile on their face, and yeah. But it's very nerve wracking to corner over fighting.
Connie, how about you? I mean, not everybody is a fighter with the amount of experience that you have. And, a lot of times when the active fighters are part of a gym, they will have them coach some of the students. Is that something you've gotten experience out there at Vital Force, especially considering, you're a female fighter?
No, not yet, but hopefully soon in the future I'll be able
Yeah.
to, help the little kids or, corner them and all.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I'll go back to you now, Nancy. I wanted to ask you, what do you think is going to happen in this fight on Saturday? I mean, can I maybe get a prediction for this fight?
Uh,
Putting you on the spot.
I know you are. I I intend to take that belt home with me. I intend to wear it on the plane. my flight back. If TSA try to take it, they could probably put my dead arms. But no, I'm planning to take it home, and that's all I could say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How about you, Connie? Any predictions for the night?
Like the same thing that Nancy said. I'm also planning to take that belt home. You know.
Yeah, yeah. What would it mean? What would it mean to you to win that belt? What would it mean to you?
For myself or Connie, for either
Both
one.
of you.
To win that belt is, I don't know. I think for me it's building that morale for my other students and
Mhm.
for my team, and so I feel that it's gonna build that boost up for everybody. So but yeah, but then also it's awesome to have.
For sure, for sure. And Connie, what would it mean to you to take home a fighter's rep belt to Vital Force? I mean, Christian Zoller did it,
Yeah. Mhm.
but besides him, and you would be the first female to ever do it. Kind of tell me, what that would mean to you.
It would mean like a lot. It's like an honor to fight for you guys as the first female. And
Definitely.
I've been wanting this thing for, well, not like sorry. I've been wanting, like, to fight for a title for a while. It's well, obviously I'm still new, but it's a dream of mine,
Yeah,
and it would mean
yeah.
a lot, and I hopefully it will happen on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned it's an honor to fight for us. I want to tell both of you it's an honor to have you guys or you ladies on the
Hmm.
card. I'm so excited about it, and obviously we're very excited about it to the point where we made we made you all the co-main event, and I got a real
Hmm.
strong feeling this is going to live up to the co-main event status. So I appreciate the both of you signing up for this fight, training for this fight. You're
Hmm.
coming out here all the way from Virginia to Nancy to take this fight. Connie, you're fighting someone with a little bit more experience than yourself, but Nancy, you're fighting someone younger than you significantly. So
Mhm.
I think this is gonna be an interesting fight. I don't know what's going to happen. That's why you got to get your tickets and come check it out at FightersRep.com. Before I let you both go, I want to ask you. I'll start with you, Connie. Is there anyone you want to shout out? Anyone you want to thank? The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to my coach Lee and all my teammates from Vital Force, and also Alex Stowe, who's also fighting for you that
He is
night,
fighting on the same card, right?
and my family, who's been very, very supportive.
Very cool. And Nancy?
So obviously, Lotus Thai Boxing, my crew, Carlos Lopez, all my coaches there. I want to thank my family for just putting up with my attitude. Just like, 'cause this is not their first weight cut, so they know to tread lightly. Just to all my friends and families, and then also I have two couple sponsors, Roots and Buds. Shout out to them, and shout out to Element Tattoo Supply. They helped me through this camp. Yeah, because fighting ain't cheap. It is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
cheap. So you have to pay for all the supplements and whatnot. But yeah, it's sponsorships is definitely is needed and helped. Uh, but yes, I appreciate each and everybody helped me through this camp. So
I'm going to ask you two one more thing before I let you go. Connie, we'll start with you. Why should people that are on the fence, they've never been to a kickboxing fight before, or maybe they're not sure, or they got a little bit of extra money, they're not sure they want to spend it. Why should they come out and buy a ticket or buy the live stream to watch you fight at Fighters Rep 22?
Well, me and her are gonna put on the show. I feel like it's probably gonna be the fight of the night.
let's go.
Yeah.
And
Let's
Nancy,
go.
same question to you. Why should they come out and buy a ticket to watch Nancy
I
Tran throw
mean,
down?
what's better than violence? So sanctioned violence, and it's just someone told me once before that as a fighter you're just a performer. That's all you're doing. You're performing for your audience. You're performing for the judge, and and it's entertainment. you know, and supporting women and supporting this promotion and supporting just like, you know, it just the growth in this is definitely needed. And you know, for this, you know, it's just come spend your money, guys. Go pop some bottles and, you know, buy front row seats. But, you know, just come and watch and support and, you know, and log into the live stream, tag us, whatnot. But yeah, definitely buy tickets, guys. It's still
I
on
love it.
sale.
Well,
Let's go.
it's going to be absolutely amazing. I want to thank you both again for your time. And to everybody out there, if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? It's fight week.
Yeah,
Get
what are you
your
waiting
tickets
for?
at FightersRep.com. You're not going to want to miss. These two turn the Lions Den into the Lionesses Den. It's going to be blood, guts, and hard work on display. And I'm really excited to watch this fight. I hope both of you have a great night, and we'll see both of you
You
on
too.
Friday at the weigh-in. Good luck.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.